Shalom Aleichem, sweetest friends. This year should be a special schus for Simcha ben Echagitol and L'Refuas, Esther Rus bas Naomi Sarah, Miriam bas Chaya, Rafael Chaim Dov ben Risa Shoshana, Besoch Sha'ar Chole Yisrael, and Sarah Leah bas Rivka, Bracha Batzlacha for Shlema, and Azibuk Hagun v'Mehera for Shendi Chana bas Malka, and for anybody out there watching who wants one. We're going to be learning B'siyata D'Shmaya Shitas Rambam Be'inyan Ksivas Sefer Torah V'Hadvarim Yu Nifloim U'Mesukim Mitvash V'Noifes Tzufim to be Ma'ayin Be'oimek Shitas Rambam. The Rambam writes in Hilchos Sefer Torah Perek Zayin Halacha Aleph Mitzvas Esei Al Kol Ish V'ish Mi Yisrael Lichtov Sefer Torah La'atzmo. It's a mitzvah on every man to write a Sefer Torah for himself, etc. And even if his forefathers left for him a Sefer Torah, it's a mitzvah for him to write his own Sefer Torah. And Halacha Beis, the Rambam writes, "V'hamelech mitzvah of lichtov Sefer Torah echad la'atzmo ve'echad l'shem melech." The melech, it's a mitzvah for him to write one Sefer Torah for himself and one Sefer Torah l'shem melech. Yeser al Sefer sheha yiyalo kishehu hedyot. In addition to the Sefer that he had when he was a hedjot, he has to have also a Sefer, l'shem melech, and not just the one Sefer he had, alt hedjot, as a regular citizen. When he sits on his throne, he should write for himself a second Sefer Torah. Halacha Gimel, the Rambam writes, if he didn't have a Sefer Torah before he became king, then after he becomes king, he has to write two Sifrei Torah. Ad kan Divrei Rambam in Hilchos Sefer Torah. In Hilchos Malachim, Paragim Halacha Aleph, writes the Rambam, Be'eshiyashav HaMelech al Kisei Malchuso, when the king sits on his throne, Kosev lo Sefer Torah la'atzma yeser al Sefer shenichu lo avosav. He should write a Sefer Torah for himself, in addition to the Sefer Torah that was left by his forefathers, etc. Im lo anichu lo avosav o shenevad, Kosev shnei Sefer Torah. If he wasn't left the Sefer Torah by his fathers, or it was lost, then he should write for himself two Sifrei Torah. And the Rambam in Hilchos Malachim comes the Kesef Mishnah, and he doesn't understand the Yesh L'Tma'ah Rabbeinu. I don't understand what the Rambam is saying over here. That it seems when the Rambam writes here in Hilchos Malachim that if his father leaves him a Sefer Torah, he doesn't have to write another one. The Rambam says if his father leaves him a Sefer Torah, then he has to write an additional one as a melech. But if his father didn't leave him a Sefer Torah, then he has to write two. It's mashma that he can be samach on the Sefer Torah written by his father. But wait a second, Rambam, you told me in Hilchos Sefer Torah you can't rely on the Sefer Torah that your father wrote for you. Even a hedjo can't rely on the Sefer Torah that his father left him. Even if his father left him a few Sifrei Torah, he still has to write two. One, because he has to write out Hedjot, and the other one, he has to write out Melech. So how can he rely on the Sefer Torah that his father wrote? Pelo Atzum. So the Kesef Mishnah asks. So there was a very choshev Talmud Chacham in Yerushalayim, the Talmud of the Brisker Rav. His name was Rav Menachem Mendel Chechik, of the famous Chechik family. His brother was Rav Zev Chechik. They were uncles to Hagoyin Moshe Mordechai Schulzinger, who writes the Svarim Mishmar Alevi on Shas, Moiridik set of Svarim. He was a Talmud actually in Merkaz Harav for a little while, but he was a very big Kana. He didn't last there too long. But he knew Rashbaz Baal Peh and everything, Mamish. Very, very, very special. He was only after a few years ago. Anyway, he quotes the Chechik Salat, Talmidim of the Brisker Rav. So this is a Chiddush. The Mahalach is going to be of Rav Menachem Mendel Chechik. He's a Sefer Niv Menachem, two very, very Geshmaka volumes. So we have to understand what the Rambam writes in Halacha Gimel. The Rambam writes, Lo haylo Sefer Torah kodim sheyimloch, tzarich lichtov lo acher shemalach shnei Sefer Torah. But he doesn't have a Sefer Torah before he became king. He has to write after he becomes king two Sefrei Torah. So l'chora, why does the Rambam have to repeat himself? Since in the previous halacha the Rambam is very clear that the melech needs two Sifrei Torah, so it's pashut that if he already had a Sefer Torah alt Hedyot, so now he only has to write one Sefer Torah. And if he didn't have a Sefer Torah as a Hedyot, then he has to write two. Since the Rambam already tells us that a Melech needs two Sifrei Torah, it's Pashut. He needs one for Hedyot, one for Melech. If he doesn't have any, then he has to write two. So it seems that what the Rambam is telling us in Halacha Gimel is Achla Mosar. It's superfluous. So why did the Rambam have to tell us something so selbstverständlich, something so self-understood? We also have to understand what the Rambam writes in Ochs Malachim. So the Rambam changes the lashon here. In Ochs Sefer Torah, the Rambam writes, Yeser al Sefer sheyiyelo kishehu hedyot. So why in Hilchos Malachim does the Rambam say shehinichu lo avosav? He has to write an extra Sefer Torah in addition to the one that his forefathers left for him, hinichu lo. Whereas in Hilchos Sefer Torah, he says he has to write another one in addition to the one sheyiyelo kishehu hedyot that he had, that was to him. So what's the Shinoi HaLashon? Not only that, but the Lashon in Hilchos Malachim Ba'atzmuso requires understanding. Why does the Rambam have to give an example of Sheinichu Lo Avosef? Because what do we care where he got the Sefer Torah from? The Irgun Akuda is, like he emphasizes in Hilchos Sefer Torah, that he has to have. He has to have a Sefer Torah as a Hedyot, and then in addition, he has to have one as a king. So what's the Rambam's lashon? Beis yashem melech kisei malchuso, kosel Sefer Torah la'atzmo, yeser ala Sefer shehinichu lo avosef. So why does it say yeser ala Sefer shehinichu lo avosef? Yeser ala Sefer sheyesh lo. So in the Gemara in Masechah Sanhedrin, what does it say? It says that, famous Gemara, that Af b'shenichu lo avosef, Sefer Torah mitzvah lichtov mishalo. There it's telling you can't rely on the Sefer Torah that you got from your forefathers. They were meiniach a Sefer Torah, they left him a Sefer Torah. He can't rely on that. He has to write his own. There I understand. But Lagabe Melech, the yesod of the emphasis is that he's not Yotzei with the Sefer Torah that he already has, even if he wrote it himself Kedasu Kedin, before he was king. So why does the Rambam say Shinichu lo avosef? The Rambam should have just said that the Sefer Torah he has before he's king isn't enough. What does it matter how he got the Sefer Torah? Point is that what he had before he was king doesn't work for him when he's king. So what does it matter where it came to him? It came from Avosef. So apparently what the Rambam is telling us is as follows, that it's true. A Sefer Torah B'Hedyot is not enough for a king. Why? Because it wasn't written L'Shem Melech. The Sefer Torah B'Melech has to be written L'Shem Melech. That's the thing. However, the Sefer Torah B'Melech can be used for the Hedyot. A Hedyot, the Sefer Torah that he writes, Alts Melech, can be motzi him not only the Sefer Torah of a Melech, but also the Sefer Torah that he's chayav Alts Hedyot. What is he lacking? Is there anything wrong with the Sefer Torah that's written L'Shem Melech? Melech is a Hedyot plus. Melech is better. So it's pashut that if he writes a Sefer Torah Alts Melech, and then he becomes a Hedyot, Avadis Yotzei. He retired, doesn't want to be Melech anymore, wants to sit in Koilel, steig away, doesn't want to deal with Arabs, wars, wants to sit and learn. He retires. So he takes the Sefer Torah that he had as a Melech, he could be Yotzei with that as a Hedyot, Pasha. So Lefi Zeh, the Rambam Mamish shines. In Hilchot Sefer Torah, the Rambam is talking about Dinei Sefer Torah. What's the mitzvah? What's the gather of the mitzvah of Sefer Torah? Mitzvah essay lichtov Sefer Torah la'atzmai. You have to write a Sefer Torah for yourself. Ve'aval b'shehinichu lo yavoisav Sefer Torah. Mitzvah michtov lichtov mishala. In other words, there's a chovas mitzvah that he has to write the Sefer Torah for himself. L'shem atzmai al kol ish v'ish miYisrael. And if he's a king, he has to write with an additional kavanah. L'shem melech. Just as a melech, he has to have 2 Sifrei Torah. Like the Rambam says, Yeser al Sefer. Right, it's in Halacha Beis. The king has to write another Sefer Torah, L'shem melech. Yeser al Sefer, Shielo Kshu Hedya. He has to have 2. So we learn from here that the mitzvah of Sefer Torah is lichtov la'atzmo, and not that it comes from someone else. But what we don't learn from here is, what's the din of the Sefer Torah, the additional Sefer Torah? Mitam Melech. Does that also have to be la'atzmo? Or can he be Yotzei with the Sefer Torah that his father, the king, wrote, als king? And now he left it for his son, who inherited the throne. L'chara, there's a Sefer to say that since the Sefer Torah is written l'shem melech, it's enough. The Rambam doesn't mention that in Hilchos Sefer Torah because it's not shaykh to Hilchos Sefer Torah, it's shaykh to Hilchos Malachim. Shail of whether a melech is yotzei with the Sefer Torah written for another melech is shaykh to Hilchos Malachim. And Taka in Hilchos Malachim he explains. Be'ez sheyoshav ha-melech al kisei malchusoi kosev lo Sefer Torah la'atzmo. When the king sits on his kisei ha-malchus, he has to write a Sefer Torah for himself. What does it mean for himself? L'shem melech. In addition, yeser al ha-sefer shehenichu lo avosef. In addition to the Sefer that his father left for him. Who are his fathers? The king. In other words, we're not talking here about the halacha that was showing geschriben, that was already written in Hilchos Sefer Torah. In other words, that a king is not yotzei the mitzvah of Sefer Torah of kol ish v'ish miYisrael with what he got from his forefathers. Does that achla moisar? Is that miyutal? Why would a king be different than anybody else? Here the Rambam is telling us a din in Hilchos Malachim that a melech isn't yotzei his din Sefer Torah choybas melech unless it was written for his eigen malchus, la malchut shel atzmo v'lo la malchut shel aviv. Maybe that's pshat in the Rambam. Echad la'atzmo l'shem melech. זאת אומרת, זה לא מספיק שזה לשם מלך, זה צריך להיות לעצמו לשם מלך. ובזה בוא איננו אל המלך. The Rambam is called by his noisei Caleb the Melech, who's more of a king than the Rambam. Man malchi rabbonon. Azah groiser Rebbe. Svardische Rebbe, aber groiser Svardische Rebbe. And for the kasha, the Kesef Mishnah. What was the Kesef Mishnah's kasha? Kesef Mishnah's kasha was that it seems in the Rambam and Hilchos Malachim that if he was left to Sefer Torah, he doesn't have to write another one. That it's mashma in the Rambam that if his forefathers left him a Sefer Torah, he can rely on that and he only has to write one more. But how can he do that? Even a hedjot can't do that. So how can he rely? How can the Rambam say that when he sits on the Kisei Malchus, Kosev le Sefer Torah la'atzmo, Yeser ala Sefer she'enichu lo avosef. So he's writing an additional Sefer in addition to the one that he got from his forefathers. How can he rely on the Sefer Torah that he got from his father? Even a hedjot can't do that. Because what it means is In other words, the Rambam holds, yes, he's not Yotzei Chovas Melech with the Sefer Torah that his father wrote, the Sefer Torah L'Shem Melech. Umemela, he has to write a Sefer Torah for himself. But when he writes it, you know what happens? He's Yotzei with this Sefer Torah, not only the Sefer Torah of a king, but he's also Yotzei the Sefer Torah of a Hediot. This Sefer Torah is, as they like to say in America, 2 for the price of 1. He gets to be Yotzei his Chovas Melech and his Chovas Hediot with this Sefer Torah. There's only one problem now. Feltham, he's lacking the 2 Sifrei Torah that a king needs. King needs 2 Sifrei Torah. So what is he going to do now? It's very simple. The Rambam holds that he can be somich for his second Sefer Torah on what he got from his father. L'kayim Gzeirus HaKosov, that he should have 1 Beveis Genazov, 1 stored away, and 1 that he takes with him. So you have to have 2. Now it's Gevaldik. So the Rambam says, a hedyo can't rely on the Sefer Torah of his father. You have to write 1 for yourself. Chiyuv a hedyo. And the Rambam holds the same thing for a king. So why does the Rambam say you can rely on what you got from your father? It's very simple. Because he relies on what he got from his father as a second Sefer Torah. And now when he writes, but he still needs to write 1 for himself, Atz Melech. When he writes out 1 Atz Melech, he's Yotzei the Chiyuv Melech writing La'atzmo, and the Chiyuv Hedyot writing La'atzmo. And then he has a second one, because the king needs 2. And if lo inichu lo avotzav, if they didn't leave him a Sefer Torah, Taka has to write 2. Because the king has to have 2 Sefer Torah. He can write 1 and be Yotzei, both Melech and Hediot, and the second one is to have 2. And now we understand the Shinui Loshen of the Rambam. Why did the Rambam change his Loshen of Malachim and say Sheinichu lo avosav, whereas the Rambam in Hilchus Sefer Torah writes Sheyi lo kashu hediot? Would have even written Shehaya lo kashu hediot. I'm like Sheyi kashu hediot, kashu hediot. But we're all made on the difference between Sheinichu lo avosav and Sheyi lo kashu hediot. We also said the Lashon Sheinichu lo avosav isn't matim here. We said that it's matim in the Gemara. The Gemara it says, Hinichu lo avosav, you have to write your own. But here it doesn't matter. All the Rambam is telling us is that if you have 1, it's not enough. It doesn't matter how you got it, because the king needs 2. But based on what we said, ha'osios misamchos, it's freilich. Because here also, like in Hilchos Sefer Torah, when we're talking there about Kol Ish Yisrael, the emphasis is, you're not Yotzei on what you got from your father, because it was written for them. So to a king, is not Yotzei with what he got from his father, that was written L'tzorech Melech. In other words, the emphasis is that Hinichu lo avosav, that they left it for him because it was written L'shem Melech. They left it for him for the same thing. They had it Alts Melech, and now they left it for a Melech. That's the lashon of leaving it, that they left it for the Melech. And therefore the Rambam is telling us that Kosev lo Sefer Torah la'atzmo yeser ala Sefer sheinichu lo avosav. That it doesn't help that the Avos left him a Sefer Torah Alts Melech, because he has to write his own Sefer Torah as a Melech. And then lo hinichu lo avosav, they didn't leave him a Sefer Torah as a Melech. Now he has to write 2. So that's why the Rambam emphasizes here in Hilchos Sefer Torah that inyan of shehinichu lo avosov. Because the Rambam is telling us that they left it for him because it was written for a melech. So now he's the melech. And nevertheless, it doesn't help. Because he still has to write la'atzmo l'tzorech melech. So the Rambam in Hilchos Sefer Torah says that what he had when he was a hedyot, it's not enough. And the Rambam says here, shehinichu lo avosov, sheyiyah lo kashu hedyot. What he had when he was a hedyot isn't enough. He has to write a new one. And here, the Rambam is telling us that even if they left it for him as a Sefer Torah as a melech, doesn't matter. Because he has to write it for himself, the melech. And that's the special chiddush in Hilchos Malachim. So not only is it not enough what he had when he was a hedyot, but even if he gets one that was written l'shem melech, so lo maspik. He can't rely on that. So if the Rambam says, the mitzvah, the Rambam Hilchos Sefer Torah, a melech mitzvah lav lichto Sefer Torah chalatzim l'shem melech, yesrel Sefer shiyah lo kashu hedyot. The fact that he had it when he was a hedyot isn't enough. Because he has to write it la'atzmo l'shem melech, like we were medayik before. And therefore the Rambam Hilchos Malachim is beautiful. Shehinichu lo avosov, even if they left it for him. The Rambam's explicit about it here, kamat, if you're reading the words right. If we're correct in our analysis. If shehinichu lo avosov, that his forefathers left for him, because it was written for a king, even if it was written for a king, it doesn't help. You're right, what he had as a hedyot doesn't help for a king. Maybe what was written for a king helps. The Rambam says in Hilchos Malachim doesn't help. So again, the Rambam in Hilchos Sefer Torah is telling us the etzem halacha. If he had it when he was a hedyot, he can't rely on that. He has to write another one. L'shem melech. And then the Rambam is telling us in Hilchos Malachim that even if he was hinichu lo avosov, they gave it to him as a melech, they gave him the Sefer Torah of a king, doesn't help. Because it has to be written la'atzmo l'shem melech. However, if when he becomes a king, he writes a Sefer Torah for a king and for a hedyot, he's yotzei with that. So the Lechem Mishnah didn't understand. Because he said this mashma in the Rambam that if he received from his forefathers, mashma that if they left it for him, then one Sefer Torah is enough. How can one Sefer Torah be enough? How can he rely on what he got from his fathers? The answer is because when he writes a Sefer Torah as a king, he's yotzei both his chi of hedyot to write a Sefer Torah for himself and his chi of melech at the same time. And what does the second Sefer Torah do? The second Sefer Torah takes care of his chi of to have two Sefer Torah. So for the Kasha, the Kesef Mishnah, we understand that Itaka only needs, he can rely on Sefer Torah he got from his forefathers. He can't rely on it legamre. He can't rely on it as Alts Melech, that they write it as a king. He gets it as a king. Zelo must speak. He has to write his own for a melech. But once he writes his own for a melech, it also counts for a hedyot. And if he got one from his father, then he can rely on that, and now he has two. And we also said that halacha gimel in Hilchos Sefer Torah is superfluous. The Rambam says if he doesn't have a Sefer Torah before he's king, he has to write after he became king two Sefer Torah. We said we already knew that from halacha beis. Because halacha beis says that when a king is a mitzvah to write a Sefer Torah as a melech, in addition to the Sefer Torah he had as a hedyot. So of course if when he became king, he doesn't have a Sefer Torah, he has to write two. But now we understand. Because the Rambam in Halacha Beis is telling us that he had a Sefer Torah when he was a Hedjot, now he has to write one as a king. And now he has two Sefer Torah. Sefer Torah he had as a Hedjot, Menicho Beveis Gnazav. And the Sefer Torah that was written L'Shem Melech, he has to have with him at all times. Mashenken B'Halacha Gimel, there we're talking about a case where he didn't have a Sefer Torah before he became king. So now that he writes it L'Shem Melech, he's Yotzei both. If he had one, now he's to write another one L'Shem Melech. But when he didn't have any, Halacha Gimel, if he writes a Sefer Torah, he's Yotzei L'Shem Hediot and L'Shem Melech. It's Gevaldik. Could save for $40,000. Sefer Torah expensive. That's what I would say. Is it Maspik? And the Rambam says, no, you're mistaken. If he didn't have a Sefer Torah before he was king, he has to write two. Why? Because the king has to have two Sefer Torah. In Achinami. He can write it and be Yotzei with one Sefer Torah, both Chiyuvim, but he still has to have two. And now it's Meduyik. Lashon of the Rambam. Rambam says in Halacha Beis, when he had a Sefer Torah, when he was a Hedjot, Menicho Beveis Gnazav. Halacha Gimel, he writes, Echad Menicho Beveis Gnazav. I didn't read the whole Halacha Beis before. But in Halacha Beis, the Rambam says that Zeh Shehayelo Kshu Hediot Menicho Beveis Gnazav. And in Halacha Gimel, the Rambam says Echad Meniso Beveis Gnazav. Not Zeh Shehayelo Kshu Hediot Menicho Beveis Gnazav, but rather Echad Meniso Beveis Gnazav. One of them he puts away. Why doesn't he write that was written L'Shem Hediot? Because that's exactly what we're saying. We're saying that this Sefer Torah that he wrote was written as a melech, and he doesn't have to write it L'Shem Hediot, because it's all included. He's Yotzei the mitzvah about Kol Ish V'Ish Yisrael Lichtov Sefer Torah La'atzmo. So the Rambam doesn't say also shenichtav l'shem hediot. It was what written l'shem hediot. In Halacha Beis, the Rambam's talking about a case where one was written l'shem hediot. So the one written l'shem hediot, that he puts the Beis Gnazav, and the other one he goes with him. That's the one of the king. But in Halacha Gimel, like we said, it's talking about where he didn't have any Sefer Torah before, and now he writes it. Why is he doesn't say also shenichtav l'shem hediot? Because it was never written l'shem hediot. It was written for a melech. And a melech includes both. So you can't say written l'shem hediot. It was written l'shem melech. Maybe also l'shem hediot, but you can't say it was written l'shem hediot. It was written for both. It was kolel. You had kavanah l'shem melech, and avada, that's also kolel, the chiv of the regular person. So therefore in Halacha Gimel, the Rambam uses a different lashon. And the Halacha Gimel is not miyutar anymore. It's not superfluous. We thought it was superfluous. Avada. In Halacha Beis it tells us if he writes one as a hedjot, he has to write another one as a melech. So if he has none, then he has to write two. No. Because you would think in Halacha Gimel, if he's writing one l'shem melech, he could be yotzei both. And he can be yotzei melech and hedjot. The only thing is he needs two, it's melech. We mekayim that Ksivas hakasa, but it's talking about two different falun, two different tziyurim, two different realities. And Halacha Beis, he's talking about where he has one already. Now he has to write a second one. And Halacha Gimel, it's talking about where he had none. You would have a havamina to say one, you could be able to say both. Itaka can be, but he still needs al Ksivas hakasa to have two, as the Torah says. So that's a possible mahalach in this Rambam. And we should be zoche lilmod ulalamed lishmor v'lasos. And we should not only be zoche to be makayim the mitzvah Ksivas Sefer Torah, We should be zocheh to have enough money to be makayim the mitzvah Ksivas Sefer Torah many, many times over. And we should be zocheh very soon to see a melech be Yisrael with his 2 Sifrei Torah, echad sheminichu b'veis gnozav, ve'echad sheholechim bo b'chol mokom, b'vias Mashiach tzidkenu, b'meheira v'yameinu, amen v'yamein. Shalom, shalom, sweetest and most beloved friends.